Texas A&M is taking on Auburn. They're going out there to Auburn. Over under for this game is 47.5. Texas A&M or TMU is favored by 2.5. Marcel Reed show back in action. Auburn, Peyton Thorne, don't look now. 5 tutties last week. 3 with Cam Coleman.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think?
They're riding. I mean, it's a good game. It is against the opponent that it is. It's not Texas A&M, especially not defensively. From a DB standpoint, maybe it's pretty similar. We've seen Texas A&M DBs been a little bit porous at times and able to let some plays happen. So we could see it roll into this week. A little bit of a QB wide receiver connection, KLS getting involved, Cam Coleman getting involved. Where I'm hesitant, Auburn at home has not been necessarily a good matchup for them, a good situation for Auburn. They haven't beat but one Power 4 opponent all year. That was Kentucky. Their best home win right now is against New Mexico. So right now, I don't have a whole lot to believe in Auburn for, but we saw what South Carolina did to A&M. It's an interesting spread here, that an interesting look on a game. So I'm curious too on what would happen in this game.
I'm curious as well, right? We just kind of finished wrapping up talking about the Alabama-Oklahoma game, and the over-under was 47.5. This game's 47.5 as well. Alabama and A&M play similar offenses, very run-heavy, right? Mm-hmm. Expect a lot from Marcel Reed, but this Auburn defense is pretty stingy. But we've seen them lock up a lot of top rushers, and so I'm curious kind of what this rushing offense for A&M is going to be able to do against Auburn, because I think that'll be the story of the game versus what offensively Auburn can do.
Yeah. A&M, it's going to look a little different. Le'Veon Moss is not going to be playing. So he's out with the injury. Amari Daniels and EJ Smith with Marcel Reed. Like, you do have a rushing attack, right? Like they're rushing guys that can perform. It's going to look a little bit different because of how good Auburn's rush defense is. Like, that's the thing where they're excelling. So you're going to have to now ask Marcel Reed to throw the ball a little bit.
Yep.
They haven't asked him to do it. When he does go out there and throws the ball, it's done pretty well. We saw him have the bad interception last week, but all in all, like, he's able to do it. I like Auburn's defense though in this game to force A&M out of their typical game plan.
Yep, I definitely agree with you. And if I'm an Auburn fan, like I said, I talked about it when we first started this segment. I would be a little bit excited about Peyton Thorne, just given what we saw last week. It obviously has not been against Power 4 competition, but he's shown that he has the ability. We could maybe see something this week. Cam Coleman, we talked about J. Lambert Smith, the top 5 wide receiver in the SEC right now with KLS.
Mm-hmm.
This A&M secondary has shown that they've had some abilities to get picked off. And so I would worry if I'm A&M, like, I wouldn't want to give Auburn any hope in this game. Like, I wouldn't want it to be 14-10 at half or 17-10, because then you're playing an Auburn game. You're playing a low scoring, low offense game where Auburn can hang around, kind of similar to what we saw against Missouri, where they didn't win it, but they were still in it to almost win.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, you mentioned the DB play, and like, you don't want to let Auburn hang around in this game. The safety help has been huge for A&M. If you're looking at just one-on-one, and if you're Auburn and you find one-on-one matchups with these receivers and you're Peyton Thorne, throw the ball. Like, let him take a shot at making a play on it. It's worked. From Peyton Thorne's standpoint and the effectiveness that he has, I don't think that he'll be as effective as Lenora Sellers was because of his ability to evade the tackle. And that's what made that game so tough for Texas A&M, is that they were getting to the quarterback. They just couldn't bring him down.
Yeah.
And this one, if they do that same thing, they would have like 7+ sacks, if they do that in this game. So it's up to Auburn's O-line to look at what Texas A&M has done in past games with pass rush and stop that and give Peyton Thorne enough time. It's kind of hard to compare the Texas A&M team of that game to this one because of the quarterback's ability on the opposing side.
100%. I mean, and we are both in agreement that Peyton Thorne is not Lenora Sellers. That goes without saying, but I had to mention it. I had to say it. So final predictions in this one, and any keys you think we should focus on for this game.
Yeah, A&M, just effective tackling. I mean, bring them down when they get the ball. Don't let things build up on you. They're going to throw the ball. They're going to run the ball well. Like, Darqueze Hunter is going to get a fair amount of touches in this game. Yep. If you're tackling well, I think that A&M wins here. They have goals ahead of them. They have a clear path they're one of the 2 teams in the SEC that have their championship and playoff hopes in their hands. So I like them here. A&M 24, Auburn 13. I think the under, interestingly, in such a low scoring game of 47.5, I do like the under in this one too. I think under is kind of my play of the week around the board.
Even all under.
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely been all under. I think the keys for me for this game for Auburn, if they want to have a chance to win, build on what you do well. You talked about the rushing defense; it's one of their strengths. Don't allow yourself to turn the ball over. If you turn the ball over, the game's over. Like, I think if they get one turnover on top of what A&M has proven to do, I think this one's over. For A&M, play your game. Run the ball, try to establish the pass. Like you said, Marcel Reed, it's like a lot of times he's not passing any more than 10 to 15 times a game. Make those passes high percentage throws, get yourselves in a good spot to have this offense excel. The defense should take care of itself. Nick Scorton and team should do what they have to do. I like A&M in this one. I think they keep the ball rolling. You ready for the final score prediction? Okay. All right. I'm gonna say 30-13.
Okay. All right. I thought you were gonna take them big Aggies.
No,
that's still pretty big.
Regular game, not the little one, not the big one.